Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for the last webinar of the webinar series organized by the SRI-ENACT project. This webinar is recorded and the previous webinars were also recorded, and you can find the recordings on the SRI-ENACT website. I am Sophie Dourlens-Quaranta. I have been invited to introduce and to moderate this webinar. So I would like to thank very much the partners of the SRI-ENACT project. A couple of words on who I am. I've been working for 20 years in the energy sector. In 2018, I joined R2M Solution as a managing partner of the French branch of the group. R2M is a consulting firm dedicated to bridging the gap between research activities and market implementation. R2M meaning research to market. And on my side, I'm part of the SRI support team working for the European Commission, DG Energy, and I am also the coordinator of the Smarter EPC project. So you can see here the agenda of today's webinar. Questions will be addressed at the end of the webinar, so please use the Q&A box that you have in the Zoom interface. And when you write a question, if possible, please mention who it is addressed to. So as I said, this webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be published on the online trainer library of the SRI-ENACT project, and it will be also promoted on the project's LinkedIn channel. So I'm starting with my first hat, so the support team working for the European Commission, DG Energy, to help member states testing and implementing the SRI. So you can see here the other members of this support team. It's just a couple of slides to explain that the SRI, the Smart Readiness Indicator, was introduced by the Directive on the Energy Performance of Building in 2018. It has been reinforced in the recent recast in 2024. At the moment, it's still an experimental instrument. It is currently tested in 16 EU countries. You can see on the map on the right of the screen the countries that are currently or testing the SRI or that have already tested it. And according to the latest revision of the EPBD, the instrument should have a mandatory application to the largest non-residential buildings by mid-2027. Something very important is that the European Commission, according to the EPBD and still, has to submit a report to the European Parliament and the Council by June 2026, so in just a bit more than 1 year from now. This report will be based on the outcomes of the national test phases, but also on results from relevant projects. So you can see on the right who these relevant projects are, and SRI-ENACT is part of them, obviously, and a couple of other projects that are going to be presented today. And this is to highlight the importance of what is being done by this project, because it's going really to feed this report, and the report itself will feed the implementation modalities of the SRI in member states. Couple of words on what we are doing with the SRI support team since 2021. So you can see here the official SRI webpage where you can find all the relevant information on the SRI. The SRI platform, it is a hub gathering the stakeholders working on the SRI and structuring their input through working groups and task forces. By the way, and I will remind it also at the very end, there is the next plenary meeting of the SRI platform on the 7th of May, co-organized with SRI-ENACT, and it will be their final conference. But I will say a few more words on that. And finally, if not already done, do not hesitate to subscribe our newsletter and to follow DG Energy on X. Okay, I'm now moving to my other presentation. I'm changing hat, let's say, and now I'm speaking as the coordinator of the Smarter EPC project. So Smarter EPC, it's another life project which started in 2023 for 3 years, covering 7 countries with 9 partners and almost 2 million for the budget. You can see here the partners. Probably you recognize some familiar logos. Some of the partners have been active in the SRI or EPC for quite some years. And I would like to say just a couple of words on the needs and challenges tackled by the project. So the purpose of the project is to facilitate EPC and SRI market uptake by focusing on the links between EPC and SRI, because we are convinced that when the SRI is implemented, in the end, it will be probably in one go that building will be assessed from an energy performance perspective and from a smart readiness perspective. So there is a need, this is our belief, that the two instruments may work together hand in hand with some degree of integration that will be decided by the member states. An important aspect also is data collection and aggregation, since when an assessor visits a building, data has to be collected for both energy performance certificate and smart readiness indicator. So there is something to be done on this. And also in relation to this data collection procedure, also the standards that can apply for both EPC and SRI. So I'm moving to the next slide. Explaining in more details what we are doing. So we want to ensure this policy context that the SRI is becoming a regulatory instrument that's going to be mandatory for the largest non-residential buildings, as I already explained. The complementary relation of the SRIs to the EPCs is to be clarified. It is mentioned in the EPBD, but with no details. So it is up to the European Commission or the member states to clarify this relation between the two instruments. And there will be some flexibility left to member states, as always, with directives. The member states transpose the directive in the national laws with some flexibility, of course. But at the same time, we know that guidance at EU level is needed in order to ensure a minimum level of harmonization, but also some common principles could very usefully guide the member states in their work. So what we are offering as a project is first a detailed documentation of existing EPC and SRI calculation tools, a thorough analysis of EPC and SRI current coverage and uptake with a focus on the 7 countries covered by our project. We are also developing standardized procedures for on-site EPC and SRI audits, a digital hub that's going to link with existing SRI and EPC calculation tools, but in order for assessors to have one single interface to which they can input data, and this interface will call the relevant EPC and SRI tools. Of course, there will be also a training program together with this hub and the procedures for on-site audits. Concerning the support to member states, we are working on a roadmap to guide member states in the implementation of the SRI, and a support center also to provide more tailored support to member states. We have developed also a template for joint EPC and SRI certificates, fully aligned with the EPBD requirement, and we are working on an approach for de-risking financing of energy efficiency and smartness upgrade measures in order to make the link also between the two instruments and the financing of upgrade measures. So here we have put on this slide the user journey that is contemplated by Smarter EPC. So the idea, if we start from the left, is that a building assessor, as I said, is going to assess a building both from an energy performance and a smart readiness perspective in our view. So the assessor will use a standardized audit procedure that is being developed by Smarter EPC. This data collection procedure may be complemented by data from digital building logbooks, another concept also introduced by the EPBD, also 3D scanning, also BIM. There could be several sources of data. And all this will be an input into the Smarter EPC hub, that is the single interface on which assessors will connect in order to input this data. Then the hub will call the relevant EPC and SRI tools. So at the moment, we are working with some of them. EPC tools developed by projects that are part of the next-gen EPC cluster for those who are familiar with this, so Horizon and Life projects, and the same for SRI tools. The Smarter EPC hub will be connected to existing SRI tools. And of course, the idea is to have some flexibility and modularity so that in the future, other tools can also be connected to the hub. And so once the calculations are performed by these tools, the outcomes of the evaluation go back to the Smarter EPC hub and ideally would be presented in a joint EPC and SRI certificate that can be communicated to the building owner or building manager. So this is what we are targeting. Going a bit more into the details of what we have done so far. So I'm not going to present everything, but I have put some links to the corresponding deliverables that we have just published. So we have this report on adapting Smarter EPC tool to the requirements of the EPBD. So in this report, the articles of the EPBD that are mentioned here on the slide have been thoroughly analyzed and what could be done in order to improve or further develop the Smarter EPC tools have been identified. It's a very good reading also for not only for the Smarter EPC tool, but also to understand in the EPBD what is related to EPC and SRI and how things interrelate. There's also another work we have done. This is this report on the assessment of tools for the calculation of the EPC and the SRI. And together with the report, we have also developed this EPC atlas on which you can connect. And for every EU country, you can see all the EPC tools that are accredited by the member state in question. And we are going to enrich this atlas with further data, further analysis that we will develop during the project. Another report that is published concerns the EPC and SRI current coverage and uptake policies. So we have conducted an analysis at EU level, a kind of overview covering the topics that you can see here on the left of the slide. And we have also analyzed the current situation in the countries covered by Smarter EPC. So Cyprus, Finland, France, Greece, Italy, Romania, and the Netherlands. For each of these countries, we have analyzed in a very precise manner the degree of compliance of the country with the different articles and annexes of the EPBD. Still in this deliverable, in this report, we have also designed future scenarios for EPC and SRI coverage. In the short term, we know what's going to happen. There will be this report submitted by the European Commission. There will be, in principle, a delegated act, an implementing act adopted, etc. So this is for the very near future. But for the, let's say, midterm, there are different scenarios depending on the policy options and strategies adopted by the different member states. So we have designed, as you can see, three scenarios: a business as usual scenario, which is the less optimistic, let's say, a policy acceleration scenario, and a digital and integrated future scenario. So I'm not going in the details of the scenarios, but I invite you to read this report. And it is meant also to be a support to member states, also to help them decide in which scenarios they want to be and in which direction they want to go. Here on this slide, we have put the Smarter EPC joint EPC and SRI certificate. So it's, to our knowledge, the first time that such a certificate has been developed. So the idea is to combine EPC data and SRI data into a single document. In this case, it is a two-page document. And what is very important is that this template, this example, let's say, is fully compliant with the EPBD 4. So all the mandatory elements that are listed in the EPBD for EPC and SRI certificates are included in this proposal. And we have also included some of the voluntary elements that are also listed in the EPBD. This is also made available to member states in order to help them to be an inspiration and an example of what can be done if they decide to integrate both certificates, which is an option that is available to them. Continuing very quickly, because I don't want to exceed my time, the Smarter EPC joint EPC and SRI on-site audit procedures. This is something coming soon. We are working on that with standardization experts based on work previously done by the Smart Square project in particular. Coming soon, also the Smarter EPC Hub. We already have a prototype ready. At the moment, it is being tested by partners, and it will be released publicly soon. And finally, the Smarter EPC roadmap that we have called Fit for 290. So it is a roadmap also that we have developed to help member states. At the moment, it's a very preliminary version of the roadmap. We will deliver another version next year. The roadmap is built around the building blocks that you can see here: initiatives, milestones, dependencies, metrics, and stakeholder engagement. I have some details for each of them, but I'm not going to detail this because I'm afraid I'm too long. This is the milestones that we have in mind that the member states will have to do, and we stand by to support them. It will be super important, yes, to check the dependencies with other legislative text. The metrics also will have to be developed in order to measure the implementation and the impact of the SRI. There will be stakeholder engagement aspect also to be considered. Just a couple of words on our advisory board. We are very lucky to have very well-known professionals in our advisory board covering policy makers or let's say agencies linked to member state authorities. We have industry representatives and we have researchers. So this is my last slide. I'm sorry because I was a bit long. And I'm now going to give the floor to the next speaker. And I repeat that if you have some questions, please use the question box. Yeah, so I'm pleased to introduce the next speaker, Guds Kosovic, who is the Managing Director of EU BAC, working on advanced building automation and control systems across Europe to support the EU's decarbonization goals. Before joining EU BAC, Goods worked at the European External Action Service and in the construction sector, which has given him insights in both policymaking and practical implementation. And in the past, he studied affairs and construction management. So, Guts, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Thank you. As Sophie already introduced me, I'll just tell you a few things about us. We are the Building Automation Controls Association. We represent manufacturers in Europe in the field of building automation and controls, of course. And a good afternoon to everybody, and thank you so much for joining us in this very sunny and beautiful afternoon in Brussels. I'm here today to discuss how we can bridge the two key initiatives in smart buildings as we see them, the Smart Readiness Indicator on the one hand, and building automation control system mandates that are coming from the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive as well. By the end of this short presentation that I'll give you, I hope you'll understand not only how SRI assessments can support BACS compliance, but also how mandatory and modern BACS installations can actually streamline or automate the SRI assessments and even energy performance certificate processes. So let me just see. Oh, sorry, the slides are a little bit slow. So most of you already, of course, here, I assume, know SRI well, but just so we are on the same page, it's an EU rating measuring how smart ready a building is in 9 key domains. The buildings get scores, of course, from 0 to 4 in each smart service, reflecting their sophistication. By examining all the smart services in the building, the SRI ultimately assigns an overall score or rating that reflects the building's smart readiness. And even if you're somewhat familiar with the SRI, it's worth emphasizing that it provides structured framework. It breaks down complex smart building concepts into something more tangible that can be assessed through various criteria. And this gives the building owners and policymakers a clear view of where the building stands at the moment when it's being assessed, but also on the spectrum of improvements that they can take in order to improve their score. Now, if we move to the mandatory building automation and controls system requirements, which you might be less aware of, these are a set of requirements that essentially want to automate certain aspects in larger buildings, larger non-residential buildings. So the goal of them is essentially to save energy and improve operational performance. Under Article 13 of the EPBD, member states must ensure that all large residential buildings, so both new and existing buildings, comply with these requirements. The largest buildings above 290 kilowatts by the 31st of December 2024 already, so this deadline has just passed. And the next threshold is above 70 kilowatts, which we will see by the end of this decade. The intention is very clear here. If a building is large enough and consumes lots of energy, it should not be run with blind controls or no controls at all. But what exactly these building automation control systems do? The EPBD defines a set of core capabilities that any compliant BACS must be capable of. In summary, a qualifying BACS should be able to monitor and adjust energy use continuously, benchmark performance and detect faults or inefficiencies, communicate and be interoperable, and last but not least, from next year, from 2026, to also monitor indoor environmental quality. When you put all of these together, the BACS mandates essentially ensure a building has a nerve center for energy management, continuously watching, optimizing, and reporting on the building's performance. Sorry, just trying to switch the slides again. Right. To make sense of the different levels of the building automation and what they mean in practice, because of course in the directive it's a bit vague, we in the industry rely on a certain standards, EN ISO 52120, which defines the various control functions in building systems and categorizes the automation setup in four efficiency classes: A, B, C, or D. So from advanced to limited or no automation. What's useful about the standard is that it not only labels these classes, but it also provides detailed checklists of control functions required for each class in various building systems. For instance, it spells out what kind of heating control or lighting control corresponds to class C versus class A. The standard is a common reference for engineers, but it also conveniently overlaps with the SRI's way of thinking. If you recall, the SRI uses levels 0 to 4 for each smart service. It turns out that SRI functionality levels map closely to those of BACS classes. To make this more concrete, let's take a look at one tangible example that I have put in the next slide here, which is heating control. So one of the easiest ways to see the overlap between SRI levels and BACS classes is to look at one specific control. In this case, space heating control, something every building with a heating system has to manage. Both the SRI methodology and the EN 52120 classify heating control in progressive levels of sophistication. And here's how they line up. So no automation, self-explanatory, SRI level 0, BACS class D. Individual room control, SRI level 2, BACS class C. Now at this level, each room or zone has its own thermostat or thermostatic radiator valve, as the standard spells out. Network or centrally managed room control. And now you can do more advanced things. For instance, a central scheduler can set back temperatures at night or weekends. Facility managers can control all room temperatures from a dashboard, etc. And finally, the cutting edge advanced room control with occupancy prediction. This would be SRI level 4 or BACS class A. As you can see, the progression of SRI level 0 to 4 mirrors the climb from BACS class D to A. Our heating control example is just one service, but in principle, the same is true in the other domains like cooling, lighting, ventilation, and others. A higher SRI functionality level always means more sensors, more automated decision making, and more integration, which is exactly what BACS efficiency classes capture. For our audience, the takeaway is SRI and BACS are talking about the same spectrum of smart functionalities, just using different languages. So while SRI gives a rating to encourage and recognize these functionalities, EPBD BACS mandate sets a legal floor, so a minimum, ensuring buildings don't fall below a certain functionality level. This overlap sets the stage for leveraging the benefits of one for the benefit of the other as well. So if we look at it, we can identify a set of synergies. So first one assessment, two outcomes. Rather than treating SRI and BACS as separate exercises or BACS compliance as separate exercises, we can combine efforts. So conducting an SRI assessment can at the same time serve to verify BACS compliance in many respects and vice versa. This saves time and cost for building owners and auditors likewise. This provides transparency and documentation. So the SRI assessment requires documenting all the smart systems and their functionality levels in a building, which creates a comprehensive inventory of buildings automation features, which can be useful for the evaluating the BACS capabilities as well. It highlights not only gaps, but also opportunities for improvement. So if you identify that certain BACS capability is not there through an SRI assessment, SRI conveniently also provides suggestions on how to improve in that domain. It provides policy synergy and consistency. So from a policy perspective, you align the SRI and BACS, and they can reinforce each other. It provides practical benefits for professionals. So as said, combined assessments save time and energy, but also if you're invested in a good BACS system, you automatically have a lot of data at your fingertips. The data can feed into SRI and even EPC evaluations without extra measurements, energy logs, occupancy data, and others. So the EPC assessor normally has to take standard assumptions about operating hours and efficiencies, but a building with a good BACS could provide real operational data, potentially allowing for more accurate EPC assessments and automated updates that reflect actual usage patterns. So as for EPBD requirements, the technical experts agreed that to meet the mandatory capabilities, as I demonstrated to you before, the building needs to be equipped with Class B BACS according to EN ISO 52120. This would also reflect a certain level of automation according to SRI. And UBAC has developed a checklist for building designers and assessors to show a detailed step-by-step manner what the technical building system needs to be able to do and how these capabilities can be documented for the assessment. So to wrap up, let's circle back to the big picture and the future. To push for smarter building technologies in Europe, it's no longer just about showcasing cool gadgets at our buildings, I think. It's also becoming integral for efficiency, comfort, and compliance. So we have the mandatory element, as I introduced it, for BACS requirements in the EPPD, which ensures that buildings install and use minimum set of smart controls. And then you have the voluntary but incentivizing element of SRI, which encourages to go further and provides actual tangible suggestions on how to go forward in the smartness of your buildings. So with full automation of assessments, while full automation of assessments might be a future goal, it's clear that a richer building with digital infrastructure makes it easier for cost effectiveness and it's much easier to evaluate its performance. Thank you very much for your attention and looking forward to your questions later on.
Thank you so much. And after this interesting presentation, I'm pleased to give the floor to Eva Lucas Segarra, who is the coordinator of the iEPBD project. So a couple of words before. So Eva is a PhD architect researcher at the Valencia Institute of Building, IVE, in Spain. She's an expert in sustainable architecture design and building energy dynamic simulation. She has participated in several Horizon 2020 and LIFE projects related to energy efficiency and buildings energy renovation. And regarding the SRI, she is the coordinator of the iEPBD project, the aim of which being to develop a common data model for different energy performance assessments related to buildings, so EPC, SRI, and renovation recommendations. Eva, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to present the role of SRI in the renovation strategies, the renovation passport. So first, of course, we have to talk about the context. Before the last revision of the EPBD, the renovation strategies were mainly based on the recommendations from the EPC. So for the diagnosis, you only need to use an EPC software to develop these renovation strategies. Now, after this revision of the EPBD, the renovation strategy is proposed to be based on the renovation passport. What is a renovation passport? It's a tailored roadmap for the deep renovation of a building in a maximum number of stages that will significantly improve the energy performance. The idea is to give the best steps to transform the building into a zero-emission building by 2050. So the EPBD says that in the Annex 8, that the requirements for the renovation passport shall include mandatory the information from the EPC for each step. So we need this EPC software. But now the renovation, the EPBD also considers broader criteria. For example, now the renovation measures can also be based on the improvement of the building's smart readiness level. So we need the Smart Readiness Indicator softwares and tools. But also there are other criteria that can be considered in these renovation passports, and so we need another software and so on. So we need so another analysis are going to be present in the future, for example, fire assessments, resilience, etc. The result is that now many different building assessment and tools are present in the workflow of the building evaluations, and the renovation strategies proposals become more challenging and difficult, requiring much effort and cost. And as mentioned, it can grow in the future. Yeah, this is an analysis of what is going on now with the professionals, because they should do multiple visits to the buildings, use uncoordinated and rigid software, etc. For that reason, it's important to work and facilitate the interoperability among the evaluations and the different softwares. So interoperability is needed also with the renovation passport evaluation. So, okay, so this is where IPB started. No, we propose a solution. When you analyze and overlap the different building assessments, you can see that they have many common data. Here you can see the representation of this common data among the different evaluations. And in the intersection, you can see the building elemental data. This is the data that is common for all the building assessments. What we propose is to take this advantage and make it easier by developing a common data model, what we have called the IPB schema. This common file is specifically designed for the easy exchange of information, including the input data, but also the output data. So let me introduce you this IPB schema that we are developing. What is it? Oh, it's not working. Yeah, sorry. This is a zip format with an extension renamed to IPB, with 3 files that follows the XML standard. So we have the GB XML file, the IPB XML file with the information that is not in the GB XML file, and also a file for the life cycle analysis. At the end is the same concept as the Microsoft documents. If you unzip a document, you can see all the information inside it. What are the advantages of the IPB format? First, of course, the information is exchanged among the different building evaluation tools. In the project, we are introducing the energy certifications tools, this that you can see, but also the Smart Readiness Indicator, the Renovation Passport, energy audits. But what is more important, any building assessment could be part of this format. Another advantage is that the same file contains different assessments of a building, and the same file can contain multiple versions of the same assessment. For example, multiple certificates. It can also be the building database where all the information can be stored, as in the EPBD is requested, and also the national database, complying with the EPBD recast Article 22. At the end, the important is that this is an open, free, and scalable format. But this is the format, the data model, but we need a place where we can see the data and use it. So we are also developing the IPB web app. This is a web application with 3 functionalities: the data gathering, the results visualization, but also the data management in the format, in the file. We have 2 interfaces, one for professionals and another for end users. It's important that this web app is not a calculator. It depends on the calculations from the software for each evaluation. This is for that, gather the data, see the results, and manage the data. For example, very quickly, if I'm a building professional that I want to do an EPC, SRI, and renovation passport, I go to a building in one visit and using only one platform, I can gather all the data for the 3 assessments and use also private and public databases automatically. Then I save it in the IPB format with this input data, go to the office and import it in the EPC software that I am using. I do all the calculations and export in the IPB format. So the EPC results are already there. So I can go then to an SRI software with the input data that is in the IPB format and do the calculations, and the SRI results are in there, and the same for the renovation passport. And then the end user can see the results, the professionals. The results can be part of the database of the energy performance of buildings, and this can be used by authorities or professionals for their analysis. So very quickly, the web app, the professional interface is for building professionals. It's not working. Okay, to design for easy, the data collection with automatically preload data from public databases connected to private databases. You can have common data preloaded from previous assessments, and you can have their data for multiple assessments collected in a single visit and within a single application. So this avoids data inconsistencies among the different assessments. And for the end user, this is the opposite. This is for the visualization, and the content is different for owners, professionals, and administration. Here we can see different building assessments in the same portal and multiple versions of them. For example, EPCs before and after renovations, and also aggregated data aligned with the EPBD Article 22. So what is the relation? Now, how does IPB promote the SRI and renovation passport adoption? Facilitating SRI and renovation passport data gathering, as I mentioned, they have common data from EPCs and other assessments. So in a single data gathering tool and in a single building visit, I can get all the data, and also using the automatic databases. Also promoting the renovation strategies related to the SRI, because we have a unified results visualization for all building evaluation. So I can, as a more informed analytic renovation decision making. So I can take into account the SRI renovation measures because I have all the information there. And lastly, the main idea for me is that we are enabling the SRI and the renovation passport to exchange data with a mandatory assessment, that is the EPC. So this allows owners who initially needs or seeks for the EPC only for that, it allows to easily obtain the SRI and renovation passport as well, just with little effort and little cost. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eva, for this presentation. So just mentioning to the audience that iEPB and Smarter EPC are sister projects. And that's why there are some common aspects, let's say. Let's move to the last speaker of today's webinar. So I'm pleased to introduce Jean-Marie Simon. He's EU Policy Manager within the European Public Real Estate Association, the voice of the publicly traded European real estate sector. He's responsible for ESG and sustainable finance topics within the Public Affairs Department. Since the beginning of his career, he developed an expertise in assisting all kinds of stakeholders with private and public, both public and private, to raise their awareness on specific topics such as green finance, ESG, and digital. So Jean-Marie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. As mentioned before, so I do represent the European Public Real Estate Association. What is it? The European the European Public Real Estate Association is the voice of the listed real estate sector, driving investment, transparency, and sustainable growth in this sector. And we connect leading property companies, investors, and policymakers in order to shape the future of our sector through industry research, policy advocacy, and market insight. As we all know, real estate plays a crucial role in all aspects of our everyday life, and listed property companies serve businesses and the society by actively developing, managing, and maintaining also and improving, obviously, the built environment. They also play a crucial role in providing retirement security for millions of people by offering pension funds stable and highly competitive assets to invest in. And listed real estate create a virtuous circle of investment because it does attract some capitals, fuels economic growth, and deliver essential assets like housing, retail malls, offices, healthcare facilities, and increasingly new economic assets like data centers or even logistics hubs. And crucially, it also returns value to society as pension and saving funds rely on the dividends paid by the company that are stable on the long term. I don't know if that's, I went too far. Yeah. Public companies are also pioneers of sustainability in the built environment to meet their responsibility towards local communities, and the demand of shareholders for the future proofing of their investment in the face of the global challenge presented by climate change. To do so, together at EPRA, we do encourage and guide also and support, obviously, our members in the journey towards decarbonization, and also creating a robust reporting of ESG disclosure through different activity. You can visit our website and see that there is a document called the Sustainability Best Practices Guidance, but also we do some policy engagement and also key industry collaboration. The topic of today asks obviously the question of the Smart Readiness Indicators and how it can improve the built environment, but it's also asks the broader question of how technology can create smarter buildings and a greener sector. I would like to mention the fact that we created a survey together with one of our members called Yardi on property technology, and one number that I wanted to highlight is the number of 42%. The exact number in the survey is 41.8%, but I rounded up to 42% of businesses that are using 1 to 3 what we call property technology solution, signaling a clear shift in the attitude towards implementing a digital strategy in the real estate sector, and the acceleration of digitization and the uptake of technology in the real estate sector is flourishing, becoming a strategic priority and competitive differentiator for real estate company. For example, if we go back to 2 years ago in 2022, when participants were asked what information does your company need improved inside to make a better informed decision, 21% said that they needed insight into their asset and facility management. However, when we ask the same question in 2023, 67% stated that they need improved insight into the asset and facility management operations this time. Despite the industry's slow adoption of technology in recent years compared to other sectors, it might be due to prioritization, but also the uncertainty on return on investment. A shift is seen, and having a digital strategy is clearly part of a company's operation and becomes a little bit more vital. Thinking a little bit beyond tech adoption, there is an urgency behind digital involvement has led many real estate companies toward a reactive solution to digitalize their operation, and thus 70% have emphasized that they want to make more informed investment decision when it comes to technology. Even though technology is growing in our sector, there are still some challenges, but hopefully there are also some solution. I would like to mention one figure which is quite impressive, is that the current state of the European building stock reveals that 89% of this stock doesn't meet green targets, underscoring the urgent need of decarbonization efforts. And this presents both challenges but also opportunities for innovation in the sector. As you can see on my slide, there is a clear need for data quality, and data gathered from buildings management system must be of good quality, obviously, and we need some reliable data to make informed decision and drive proper implementation of energy saving measures. There is also a need for flexibility in the partnership to an open system within technology provider for comprehensive building management solution. And one of our members, which is called WDP, a Belgium company, seek partners, for example, with the ability to deliver innovative integrated solution without locking them into a single provider. There is always this question also of the market readiness versus the implementation. While innovative solutions are capable of providing excellent returns, the slow uptake of in the industry is largely due to legacy system and resistance also to change, and new company can obviously provide some disruption and fresh ideas, which can be beneficial to the established players. Interconnected system development, the future of energy sustainability challenges will require collaboration across multiple system and service provider to address the complexity of modern buildings. And one last challenge, which is all over the place when it comes to real estate, is the fragmentation in the sector. So diversity and complexity of the stakeholders in the sector makes implementing this solution quite challenging. But let's have some hopes, because we can see that there is clearly a shift in the investment perspective, and the historical reluctance to embrace sustainability due to perceived financial risk is evolving in the face of the rising energy cost and growing environmental regulation, and strategies that focus on immediate returns help gain investor confidence. There is also this technology-first approach, leveraging software innovation on existing HVAC system reveals significant efficiency without incurring heavy renovation costs, effectively making sustainability more accessible to many property owners. And I started with that. I will end with that. The data utilization in building management. Accurate data reporting can guide investment into additional tech upgrade and retrofits. I mentioned at the bottom right of my slide something about the payback. By optimizing system, it can not only save energy but also lead to greater financial returns. I do have an example that's a very specific one because it does depend on the price of megawatt per hours in the different countries, but also on the different sectors. And we have to do so. We have to difference between housing and retail, for example, but other different other sectors. That's an example of one of our members called Unibail Rodamco Westfield. You might know them because they do own a lot of malls in Europe and all over the world. So since they implemented a smart tool to help dealing with the energy efficiency of the buildings, they did have a return of 43% according to one of the study created by an independent structure called Thermosphere. With that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Marie. It was very interesting. And if I may say something or ask something to you, Jean-Marie, as you may know, in the test phase of the SRI conducted by member states or in EU projects working on SRI, some buildings, exemplary buildings are being well, the projects would like to identify exemplary buildings, and you have mentioned some quite interesting examples. And I'm pretty sure that projects would love being in touch with the owners of these buildings, maybe to test also, to use the SRI calculation tools on these buildings. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I can surely ask. It was just some case studies that we have here at EPRA, and we'll be happy to put you in touch with them.
Great. There was another question. It was for goods, but goods you already answered, but maybe you wish to elaborate a bit more orally. So the question was, can BACS also help to automate or simplify the SRI or EPC assessment process?
Thank you, Sophie. Yes, absolutely. We believe so. And that's what I tried to mention as well during my presentation. Imagine if you're assessing a building for its smart readiness or energy performance with EPCs, you traditionally would be walking around with a checklist or something similar, or a digital tool even, asking facility managers about control strategies, checking what's in place, maybe even making a few educated guesses here and there. And that's what makes the assessments sort of inaccurate in the end, we believe. But with a solid BACS basis installed, we believe that it doesn't have to be a guess. The system constantly is collecting data when the heating runs, when the ventilation adjusts to occupancy, when the energy usage looks like every hour it's changing. So instead of manual inspections, you can just pull that information directly from the system. So in practice, that means that a good BACS can do a lot of the heavy lifting that auditor or an assessor normally would have to do. So in short, yes, a smart BACS doesn't just help the building perform better, but also it makes it easier in the future, hopefully, to make these assessments for SRI, EPCs, and future digital logbooks.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation. I see no more questions in the Q&A box, so I think we can close our webinar. So I would like to thanks again the organizers, the SRI-ENACT project, and all the speakers, of course, for the very interesting presentations. So as said at the beginning, the recording of the webinar will be made available on the SRI-ENACT webpage. And here you can see also on the slide the banner for the next joint SRI event co-organized with SRI-ENACT for the final conference. It will be on the 7th of May in Brussels, but also there will be an online connection. So all seats are already registered in Brussels, but you can still register online if you wish to participate to this event. So thank you so much, and see you soon, maybe in Brussels or online or anywhere else. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.